Hello, everyone, and welcome to basically middle week review, where I'm currently grading your Lab 2 submissions, and I'm about halfway through, but I know that some of you may be craving the need to just tear into that next lab assignment and get it done. Some of you have time constraints. I understand that's why we're online, so that it benefits our oddball schedules where we might not be able to do things in a conventional time period. So, what is this all about? Okay, so I'm seeing a number of pitfalls, a number of uh, things that are kind of cropping up, patterns that I kind of want to address before we get into Lab 3, so that there's no confusion, there's nothing that affects your grade in the things that I'm going to be expecting out of you. Okay, so I've got the module document here, and for the most part, people genuinely followed this and really had very little problem with it. I had a few people that were confused by it, but otherwise, um, I didn't really get anything specific of everybody having the same issues. So let me go down here. There's a lot of reading. I apologize for being so verbose in the document. But here we are with the let's go even further. Okay, let's go to creating the lab document itself. One of the things that I kind of noticed was that there were quite a few of you that did not actually include code in your document. I mean, I thought I was pretty clear about it. Include screenshots and code, not screenshots of code. And I even included instructions on how to turn off smart quotes, but I'm not sure they actually affect anything adversely in a MySQL environment. Now I've seen a number of people's submissions. So you might actually be perfectly fine with this, but this is actually a good thing to note on uh, future coding classes and stuff like that, that they don't take kindly to smart quotes. But anyway, I'm gonna leave that within the module document so that if there's any confusion or maybe you change computers and you still need the instructions, it's always readily available in the latest module document. But as I was saying, there really needs to be an inclusion for code and screenshots. For the code, why I need it is so that I can execute it. I need to be able to go in and be able to execute your code and see that it works effectively. I mean, I'm literally dumping the database over and over again and going through each one of your lab submissions and trying to see if your code works. And if I don't have that in a lab document to copy and paste, I'm having to rely on either guesswork or seeing it in your screenshots, and I'm having to type all of that out again. I mean, screenshots are nice, but they're more for something like this. Say that there are changes to a table, or I need you to create a select statement, or an update, or delete, whatever changes that occur in the database. This is what the screenshots are for. I really don't care about the select statement or whatever SQL code you have up in this window, in this part of the window. I want to see results. I want to see what you have accomplished to make sure that your command ran correctly. Now, some of you may have pointed out, oh, well, the action output shows that it ran, that it has affected a number of rows. even while making this lab for you all, I am running into false positives. I have seen where it says that it runs things, and it absolutely doesn't. Take, for example, this week where um, check constraints. Oh my gosh, I wanted to pull my hair out because every time I turned around, it said that it positively created it. I could not find it in the database anywhere, and I tried to test it against the system, and it did not perform. It did nothing whatsoever. And I had to go find documentation to find out that it wasn't supported. It didn't, like, even though the action output says that, hey, you've got the right syntax, it does absolutely nothing. And I've had this happen in MySQL, I've had this happen in Oracle, I have had this happen everywhere. A few weeks back, I had a process at work that it it told me absolutely it was working. I had processes that were very similar to that I copied from that were working absolutely correct. And I checked all of those and they were working fine. But that one process that was just telling me that it ran properly, I had never checked. I had overlooked it. And I'd gone in to check on it because it's like, you know what, I haven't seen it in a while and I really kind of want to work with the basically the output of that process. And it did absolutely nothing. It was giving me a false positive. So that's where giving me screenshots of this particular content right here, like the results in the table, that's where the money is. That's where you're verifying that your contents are in there correctly, you've run the code, and it works, and it's fine. I mean, because quite frankly, you may have something that runs, but let's say you put in a typo that you reviewing and looking over the field values, you put in a typo, you can catch that by looking at it. You don't necessarily get an error because it's not a syntax error. It, it's something that you catch by actually reviewing, analyzing, making sure everything works properly. Because when you get into an enterprise environment, when you get out in the workforce, if you start running processes and you don't verify that they work, and you start pointing at action output, and it's like, well, the program told me it worked. Your bosses are gonna laugh at you. I mean, quite frankly, and that's the best case scenario. I mean, there's nothing there. This is next to nothing to me. The action output, and I realize I'm ranting a little bit. I really want to kind of entrust in you the stuff that I've learned, the stuff that you really actually need for skills in the future to verify, because these are IT basics. I mean, whatever you've covered in classes so far, you need to be able to effectively communicate and display that, hey, I have done this correctly, see the results. And when it boils down to, you don't have to take a print screen of the full window. That is something. If I have, yeah, like zooming and everything else, that's arduous work. That really puts a toll on me, and it can put a toll on you if I can't enlarge it enough to where I can make your code legible or your output legible. And this is why I keep kind of harping on the whole snipping tool thing. Now, for the Mac users, there might be an equivalent tool out there. I've given instructions on the newsfeed of various different tools. And if you're using Word or a word processor, there's typically ways of cropping your photos, cropping your print screens. And I'll give you an example. Let's use snipping tool here. Handy dandy, comes with Windows 7 and up. Click new and grays out your screen. You select everything on the screen that you want. And it puts it in a red box and then it puts it into here. If you copy, you can edit, copy, or hit Control C. And you go into, here's an example lab. And you paste it. Now you make this bigger, smaller. You can edit it, whatever you need it to be. And there's format options. I don't know about some of the free options out there or the online options out there, but I'm sure that there are a number of other tools. If your word processor doesn't do it, there are a number of free picture softwares, packages and stuff like that, such as GIMP and all that. I know that some of my other instructors, when I attended at Macon State, I don't know whether they still use GIMP or not, but I mean, what it boils down to, do what you need to do. I mean, make it effective so that it's easy to understand, because I'm fallible. I may mark you off because I can't tell what you did. But notice here, I crop this right in Word. If you're using Word, right there, I've put the highlight on just the table. I don't need the full screen. I mean, I don't even need the code in the screenshot. Like I said, the code needs to go up here. Whatever it needs to be. Select all from dual. Just that's a common query in Oracle to kind of just test whether you're connecting or whatever. But have the code and make sure you label. Have code and screenshot for item number 1, number 2, number 3. That way I can tell what work you did, and I don't have to go sifting through. I'm not overlooking things, because if I'm overlooking things and you get points deducted, I mean, there is a chance of petitioning me for, a change of grade. It's like, hey, I really did this. But to be perfectly honest, you may earn your points back. You may. But when you get into the workforce and you're making these excuses that, hey, my work is right here, boss, manager, supervisor, director, whatever you have as your overseer, whoever you're reporting to, it's not going to fly. I mean, they're going to look at you strange, and they may even ask you to redo it. I'm trying to prepare you. I mean, this is a senior level course, and a lot of you are going to be graduating soon. And to be able to organize and effectively show that you have accomplished work and is a key asset. I mean, I'm going to tell you, when it comes to my job and what I've seen from other people's jobs, whether it's DBAs from other positions, while code will get you so far, while memorizing different things will actually get you certifications, at the end of the day, if you can't present either in words or on paper that you are worthwhile and that your job position is necessary, there might not be room for you in the company anymore. If they can't tell what you're doing, then you might as well just hang up your coat right now. And that's not just database administration. That's any position, whether you're a programmer, tech support, what have you. Because there is going to be some sort of ticketing software There's going to be some sort of uh, database or documentation center where people are going to be looking to see, have you actually accomplished what you needed to do? Have you, like, what have you done, and do I need to scramble through your stuff to figure it out? And this is very, very important to a programmer too, because when it comes to a programmer and labeling, there's commenting, and just once you actually get your papers back, you'll notice that I kind of hashtagged everything, and that's not me being trendy or trying to put stuff on Twitter. That is the way that you put comments into MySQL. So if you put a hashtag in front of it, it doesn't read. And I did that a lot with some of your code. If I had to make changes or tweaks or comment on it, I would put the hashtag in there so that you could still run your code straight from what I have. You can copy my comments and they will be completely ignored. But please, I beg you guys, this makes it easier on me, but it also makes it easier on you because you're not having to fight for a grade. That as long as you're clear, you're probably going to do well. I mean, I can't guarantee that, like, if you don't, it's like you're clear but you've done everything wrong. Sure, your grade will reflect that to a certain degree, but I would rather you guys try. I mean, I've seen I've got several people in the class, and I'm not harping on probably a good portion of you in the class because you're going to do well. I mean, some of you may have neglected to put the code in there. Some of you may have neglected actually putting viable content in the screenshot. You just put the code and and not even had it confirm in the action output. Um, please test your code. Please show me that you're testing your code, so I can give you the appropriate grade for your work. As far as MySQL Workbench, I've had a few people say that I've been unclear in the instructions, and I want to make this class better. I want to be clearer with you, and but I need that in return. I need you guys clear on your homework. I need you guys to be clear about what you're having issues with. I mean, if you need to go to the module document and like copy and paste into an email and say, I have no flipping idea what you mean by this, Professor Hill, by all means, like do that. Like heck, I even showed my wife some of the stuff that, like, I was so confused why you guys were confused. And there were some things that she got confused about. Some because she's not a techie. She's not in IT. She doesn't necessarily understand programming language. But she kind of pointed out that I was a bit unclear. And I've learned from that. But I'm still not perfect. I'm human. I'm fallible. And if there is anything that I'm being unclear about, please make sure to let me know. And I am more than willing to work with you, um, work with you after hours if necessary during the week. I can't guarantee that I'm always on because I have a life, I have a full time job, I have a wife, and I've got responsibilities outside of being a part time professor. And I will try to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But if you really want a solution quicker, you need to step up and learn how to communicate. And I'll try to meet you somewhere in the middle. I hope this was enough to kind of break the ice a little bit to kind of give some sort of clarity for things that you need the lab for lab 3 for this week. And feel free to go to the Q&A discussion board. I check all the time. I check email on a regular basis. I want to help. And for a good many of you that understand by yourselves, I salute you and I congratulate you for being able to do it. But for those out there that really have a hard time, I can understand. I've had a hard time, maybe not in this particular area because this is my life dream to do. I enjoy it, and because I enjoy it, it's easier for me to grasp. And sometimes I'm not as clear because I understand the jargon. I understand what I'm doing already. If there's anything else you need, please let me know. Um, as far as making videos for MySQL Workbench, I feel that I've given kind of clear instructions in the module, and I don't really know what about this that I've been unclear about. Anywhere from using the menus to what buttons will run either the execute the statement under the cursor or all of the content. Um, one last thing while I still have your attention. Please feel free to use whatever amount of screenshots are necessary. We're not wasting paper. I'm not printing these. I'm not killing trees. This is all digital. So please, if you need multiple screenshots, then use them. I mean, as far as like the updates and deletes, sometimes you need a before and after to kind of prove that that this has been executed. Especially on deletes, because if you just show a table where the records no longer exist, I have really no way of proving it, and you have no way of proving that they actually exist unless you screenshotted them beforehand. So updates and deletes, it would be beneficial for you to do before and after. That way you are verifying that they are being taken out because of your own influence. And one last item on the agenda. As far as the explanation deal, let me go back over the module document because I'm kind of jumping around and I'm ranting and raving, and I just got off of work and I'm literally doing this the first thing. Just to make sure that you guys understand and get what you need to succeed. Um, this delete Michael Knight's record from the customers table. Uh, some of you put code to delete customer record ID 3, I believe Michael Knight's number was. Some of you put first name, some of you put last name. For this one, the number one correct answer for that would be to use the first and last name, because if we're taking in consideration a multi-thousand record table instead of the piddly tables that I have put forth to you, this is the most distinguishing feature that like first and last name that you can delete by. And if we're talking realistically with thousands of records, yes, this would delete all Michael Knights from your system, which would still not be correct technically, but if I didn't give you a customer ID table and you're looking through thousands of records to find somebody's customer ID number, then you're wasting your time. Let's see. Now I'm kind of back on track. Oh, some of the things that I kind of noticed that I was very, very unclear about. Okay, this right here, do not forget to neglect pertinent keys both in this table and in other related tables. Most people kind of actually fell through on this one as far as, and probably because I was very unclear about it, but this was to include a foreign key within the orders table to show that there's a relationship between the product ID in the orders table and in the products table. Now, for those that actually did get this, instead of marking off for those that didn't get it, I gave bonus points because you had the insight to kind of pick up on like database design, even though I didn't explicitly say it, I heavily implied it. So you got some bonus points added to your grade. If you didn't get it, nothing was subtracted from your grade. No worries on that one. As I kind of addressed with the updates and deletes, please make sure to have a before and after picture just to ensure that you're covering your bases. As far as explanations are concerned, for the Michael Knight's record in the customers table, it was supposed to fail. It's supposed to give you an error. And I noticed a lot of you gave me just the error message. This right here, explain. I know that it's going to give you an error, but I need to know whether you understand why it's giving you an error. And this is something that in database principles you should have learned about foreign keys and primary keys and their relationships in tables. And all I really required you to do was to explain it in your own words, to not just regurgitate an error message. Because if I am just a manager that doesn't have any tech experience or just somebody that you're presenting the data to, and you just give me the error message, it could look like gobbledygook to me. I know what it means, but I need to know that you all know what it means. And this is all, like I said, should be a refresher. It should have been database principles. Even if you haven't taken it for a while, understanding the concepts, you need to be able to explain. Even if you have to go on and research online, like, I don't really understand this. Sometimes as a DBA, there's stuff that you just don't know. You need to go look it up. Google is your friend. And if you don't understand it, I mean, it's perfectly legitimate to ask me. It's fine. I'm willing to help. If you're unsure of something, ask questions. I encourage it. As far as this last one, the select all records to match the below results format, most of you got it as far as being able to utilize inner joins and multiple inner joins. Some people struggled with this, some people didn't. Some people had to look it up, which I encourage looking up answers. You know, these are puzzles. They need to be solved. And a database administrator is not always going to have all the answers on hand, and sometimes they just need to ask, sometimes they need to look up the answer. Whatever needs to get you through. And as far as practicing and trying these out on your own, as far as the W3 schools website has places for you to actually try out the code, to test it, and to look at examples. So for the few people that wanted more examples, there are examples out there. Um, as far as customer full name, some people, there were a lot of people that didn't know how to do this, and I realized during the SQL tutorial, looking through it, it did not have anything about the concat function. So I answered somebody, I forget who, on the Q&A. I dropped that as a requirement to have that joined together because that was not something that was taught. That was not something that I went over. So again, that was something that I did not take points off of for. But if you did go the extra mile and you did this and you provided aliases, again, I provided bonus points. And I think that about wraps it up as far as what I needed to kind of get across. If there are any questions, again, there are resources, there are ways of contacting me. Please use them. And please be clear with what you're confused about, because I can only give out what you give in.